Welcome back to the Purple Rock Podcast. I'm John, sitting here in America, and happy Thursday to you in Canada, Andy.
I actually had a Thanksgiving dinner tonight because the football thing is what we're missing in our country. We don't have the football Thanksgiving. Or if we do, I don't really watch that 3-down stuff.
The Grey Cup is already over, you say?
I believe actually that was Sunday, like just recently, but I didn't watch a minute of it.
Oh, what's that all about?
But I'll take a rough stab at it and say Rough Riders won, although at a certain point in the CFL history, that represented like 2/3 of the teams.
That's what people tune in for, the Canadian football discussion. So let's get back to the actual bread and butter of this podcast, the show Survivor.
Survivor, that's what we talked about? I get so confused by all our various podcasts.
Yeah, we do break down into Canadian-American political discussion, but, this week we'll try to stick to the actual topic of Survivor, because this week gave us a lot of good stuff to talk about, Andy.
Yeah, it was a really great episode, and it was, by still being kind of a fairly standard episode of Survivor. Like a lot of the other good episodes this season was because of some big twist or something like that, but this was just straight up, who do you think's going home? Oh no, we're going to misdirect you here. Oh, you think it's that? Maybe we'll just do that. And right now, when you hear this, that's me exhaling for the first time since about 20 minutes into the episode.
Hey, you know what? I did the same thing, because after seeing those previews last week, and despite my bold prediction that Tyson was going to turn this on Sierra, I was a little nervous that it was going to work out and they were going to target Tyson here.
Yeah, I mean, we'll obviously break down all the different moves of what should have happened and what did happen, but I was incredibly nervous this episode for a couple reasons. For one, just the edit seemed to suggest that Sierra was getting she's too comfortable and she's going home edit. And for the other is, I don't know what it's going to be like to talk to you the episode after she gets voted out.
A whole lot of gloating, so set aside a good 30 minutes of your life to be gloated at. And if Tyson happens to get voted out, just get ready for that beep button. We're going to press it for about 30 minutes straight.
And what's terrible is I'm going to take all of this from you if Sierra gets voted out. And it's like, why did I back such a mediocre player? Like, it's become like I've become Sierra's biggest fan. And it's like, she's all right.
And what's funny is I picked Caleb at the start of the season. So it's not like
Caleb,
Tyson
is he still on the show?
Hey, we'll get to that. But it's not like Tyson is really my player, but Tyson is my player.
Yeah, so since you can't make fun of me for my pick going out, let's make fun of you for a bit. Even at the time when you picked Caleb, you were just kind of like, hey, sure, why not Caleb? But this is what I want to know. Why didn't you just stick to your guns and pick Tyson?
It was partly out of fear of jinxing him. And then also, I legitimately did not see any way that the Tysons that I have seen in previous season had any shot of winning the game. He is a very entertaining player. He was never a very great player.
Yeah, no, this is a whole new Tyson, and it's been pretty great. It's the other thing, because of our fun little rivalry, it almost seems like I've taken the anti-Tyson stance. No. He's been the best player this season by far. Don't get it twisted. Just, Sierra isn't as bad as you like to think she is.
This is, grudgingly, I will admit, a fact.
So what we're going to do tonight's episode is what we've been doing for the past year. We're going to talk about Tyson, and we're going to talk about Sierra, because that was kind of the episode.
Yeah. This episode, and tell me, because I'm sure you've probably heard this at this point, but Richard Hatch was on Rob Has a Podcast, and I don't generally listen to that show. I listen to it when I can or when there's a good guest, and Richard Hatch falls into that latter category. So I did tune in. I listened to him. He proposed, and he's actually proposed before, I think, a season where they have all strategic players, and just watching this episode, this struck me as exactly what that season would look like.
Yeah, because there was a lot of moves and counter moves last night, and it was great.
And it seemed like everyone was acting in their own self-interest. They were doing the best move for themselves, and it made for really, really good Survivor.
All right, so let's kind of briefly break down all the twists and turns and moves and counter moves. So it started pretty standard. Tyson saying to Sierra, we got to get rid of Katie. She was the odd person out, and laying out that she probably had 3 jury votes on her side. That sound legit to you?
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, it honestly probably is pretty close to true. I don't think that Vetus would necessarily vote that way, and Aras is also a maybe. Tina's obviously a definite, but I don't know how well Tina's going to be lobbying for votes in that jury.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I think in a vacuum the Boskowskis wouldn't be like that, but emotions run high, and Also, you have to factor if Katie was somehow able to get there, they would respect that because she shouldn't have been able to. So there would have been some kind of, hey, you did it. Have my vote. So yeah, that started, but it was so early in the episode that it was like, well, okay, it's probably not Katie.
Right, it was one of those throw you off the scent moves.
Well, and it was just like, well, everybody thought, well, Katie's the last member of the Alliance, so it's probably her. So then we get Hayden as the first person to bring this up in a little chat to Caleb that maybe it's time to start making a move on Tyson, which, ding, 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 absolutely, you're right. Gold star for Hayden there.
Yeah, absolutely true. Good job, Hayden. I mean, we as viewers have known this for a long time, and Tyson is clearly running the show. He's the one you want to take out, and it's nice to know that some other people finally recognize this. Nice as in depressing, but also nice to know that there are some other players out there on the island.
Well, sure, I mean, certainly you want a Tyson win. It'll make this season great for you, but one of the major complaints about some of the great wins before, and, boss Rob Kim, is that nobody made that move. So, seeing Tyson get challenged wouldn't have been such a bad thing. So after that, Caleb then talks to Sierra about the idea of voting out Tyson, which, for a while it's like, sure, that makes sense. The four of them get together and vote it out. But Sierra did not agree with that move.
And my wife, as we were watching this, was like, oh, well, why doesn't she agree? That's a brilliant plan. And it is, but the thing is, either plan that she went with would have been brilliant. I mean, they're both the right moves. Either she's the swing vote, so either you pick your solid three of your family members, or you go with the three returnees, and either one, you can defend it.
The general reaction is that Sierra made the entire wrong move. Why did she flip on her alliance? And I just want to stop right there. Her alliance was a 5-person alliance with Caleb, Hayden, Tyson, and Jervis. So no matter what was going down, half of her alliance was going to be on one side and half was on the other side. So she didn't flip at all. She just chose a side.
Right. And at some point she would have had to do that anyway. She just chose that side at 7 instead of 5.
Yeah, so then the question is, well, why did she choose to side with Tyson? Doesn't she know she's going to lose to Tyson? I have a few thoughts on that, and it's going to surprise you that I have some thoughts that favor Sierra. And I'm just going to say right up front, I'm not sure it was the entire best move, because from our perspective, it's obvious that Tyson is the front runner. And why be with the front runner when you can be with others? One thing I'll say on that is I think there's a bit of maybe a fog of war going on the island, and that nobody's really seeing that with Tyson. Like, to them, he doesn't seem as threatening. Largely gold star for Tyson for his social play, but also there might be some lingering resentments towards him that we're not getting in the edit. Meanwhile, everybody seemed to think Caleb was a threat, and to us, Caleb's like a non-entity. So I think that happens a lot in Survivor, that on the island, everybody thinks Carter is a threat to win jury votes, whereas to us, it's like, Carter who?
Yeah, Carter, the guy who was blending in with the scenery for most of the season. Basically the same situation with Caleb. Caleb occasionally appears in voiceovers or in little production shots, and you go, oh, that's right, Caleb's out there still.
And what we did see is, Tina blowing up at Tyson and putting all the blame on him for the vote out. So maybe that was kind of it with Sierra, but I think actually it was even more simple. And I'll give some credit here, or, more than some credit. Carrie Reisler, I might have butchered her last name just now, on the AV Club, she pointed out that maybe Sierra still has some resentment to Hayden and Caleb for when she was on the bottom of their alliance. They went to a tribal council, and Hayden voted her out twice. Even at the tie, he still tried to vote her out. Caleb went into that tribal council, by all indications, ready to vote her out. So I don't think she ever had an alliance with Hayden and Caleb until Tyson and Jervis came along. Like, it wasn't until that 5 was formed that she finally found herself in an alliance. So it kind of makes sense that she feels more secure with Tyson and Jervis than she ever did with Hayden and Caleb.
Yeah, she basically had an alliance of convenience because that's all she could have an alliance with at that point, because it was 3-3 once they switched up the tribes. It was 3 returnees and 3 family members. So at that point, she technically, to save her own skin, would have had to partner with those guys. But as we saw, that wasn't how it shook out anyway.
Yeah, and it's not hard to envision a scenario that if Tyson doesn't approach them with the idea of voting out Aris, that the guys would have all just banded together and voted out Sierra. I mean, that's what you thought was going to happen.
That's what I had hoped for.
So, yeah, it looks bad to us because the edit is telling us that Tyson is going to win. But when I look at it that way, it's like, yeah, I get going with Tyson and Jervis. Because Hayden and Caleb, when they even came up with this big, we're going to flip on Tyson plan, she wasn't involved in that strategy session. She was told. It's like, if you really had a plan that you were going to vote out Tyson at some point, which, kind of makes sense that you should have had that plan, that discussion probably should have happened a lot earlier than last night.
Yeah, that's a good point. When you're on the outside of strategy discussions and then you get told the strategy, that usually means you're not high in the pecking order.
Yeah, meanwhile, Tyson actually, the week prior, or, a few days prior in Sierra's time, talked to her about the potential of voting out her mom. And Sierra was already like, yeah, let's vote out my mom. So I think Tyson, again, as a great sign of how well he's been playing this season, he's made her feel like a participant, as a true asset to Tyson. Whereas I'm not sure Hayden and Caleb have.
Right, and we see Tyson go and he talks to Jervis because that's the one he's trusting the most. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, you also see him go and have these discussions with Sierra as though she is principally involved in all of his plans, when really he's probably just trying to lead her to the conclusion that he wants.
So she blabs to Tyson and basically chooses her side. Time will tell whether it was the right side, but at least I can see why she would think that, is all I'm going to say. Now, last week I laid out a plan in which she could beat Tyson and Jervis in the final 3. I kind of think that that's not possible now, because part of that plan was getting the votes of the people that now feel betrayed by her.
Well, if you don't think that she can win, welcome to the club, Andy.
Is there room? It seems like a pretty full club.
I've been saving you a seat all season.
You know what? I still think she can win, and then that gets to the previews and predictions for next week, and we'll get to that at the end. So she tells Tyson, and then they decide they're going to vote out Caleb. Were you surprised that it was Caleb instead of Hayden?
Yeah. Mostly because Hayden, to me, just strikes me, and it seems odd to say this, as the smarter and more physical threat. So I don't know why you don't target him first.
Yeah, and I guess that tells us how the show can be difficult for us to interpret. Because it wasn't like much of a debate. They were just like, oh yeah, Caleb, he could win in a jury. And they were like, yep, absolutely Caleb. So he just felt more dangerous to them at the time. I'm sure they didn't have to think about it too hard, because it was kind of like, one or the other. It's not like either of them have won anything.
Right, and this was kind of one of those things where we don't get to see what's going on the island, and everybody's saying how, likable and beloved Caleb is, which we don't see that.
No, because he's Mr. Invisible, and he's probably Mr. Invisible because he got voted out at the final 7. And that's the other thing. I mean, how well you do dictates how well you are perceived later. And they always ask people in their exit interviews if they were shown wrong or enough, and some people are like, no, I did this and this and that. It's like, yeah, but you're the third person kicked out, so it's not worth building your narrative.
Right. You only have so much airtime. We don't have time to waste it on the minutia of your story if you weren't relevant to the ending.
All right, so Tyson, Jervis, and Sierra are now ready to vote out of Caleb, and also Monica, but not worth talking about.
We'll talk about Monica later. Come on, there's a little bit to talk about with Monica.
Definitely. Here's where Sierra doesn't get any points from me, her biggest fan, apparently. She's apparently a terrible liar.
Yes.
Because Hayden and Caleb sniffed it out right away.
Well, see, you say that, but actually watching the episode, I had the same thought, too. Man, if they're thinking that she's avoiding them, that's not a great job of selling it. But at the same time, she also has to sell it to Tyson, and I think she was more worried about Tyson feeling that he's going to get flipped on than the other guys.
Yeah, so she's kind of been painted on the internet as a big flip-flopper, but it's like, no, she kind of pretty much stuck to one side, and that's it. She kind of cut the other side off right away, so I don't think she's overplaying. In fact, she probably could have used a little bit more playing, just so that what ended up happening wouldn't have happened so much to her. But before that happens, we have an immunity challenge.
And Monica the Challenge Beast steps up to the plate again.
The only person to have won an immunity necklace this season. She's the new Tom Westman.
She is. And with the exact same build as Tom Westman, I think, too.
So before the challenge, the big topic of discussion is they did the old thing where you can decide to compete or you can decide to eat. And Tyson, Jervis, and Sierra decide to eat. And there's people who have very strong feelings about this. Are you one of those people?
I am not Jeff Probst, so no, I don't. I think at a certain point you have to do the calculus in your head of, do I have any shot of winning this challenge? And if the answer is no, you go eat. And then you also have to think, am I completely safe in this game? And if the answer is yes, you go eat.
Yeah, I mean, they like to paint it as, if somebody does that, they're showing how cocky they are, and they're going to get voted out. And sometimes it happens. But to one person, and then, 5 other people who choose to eat didn't get voted out. Or you have situations like last night where, hey, the person who got voted out competed. So it only matters when it matters, and half the time it doesn't.
I think part of it, too, is that Probst just really wants to create the sort of drama that he likes, where he can say, like, oh, look at this cocky guy sitting out on the sideline. And Probst has this big, I'm trying to think of the G-rated way to say what I'm trying to say. I will say Probst is very into the concept of you have to compete in this game and you've got to do everything you can to protect yourself because nobody's ever safe. But sometimes you're just safe.
Yeah, and the other thing that people really want to hammer on is why didn't Ciara compete? Because I'll be honest, at that point in the episode, I felt like she was probably going home. Just because the edit was giving a lot of, her saying things about feeling secure and people kind of looking at her side glance. Just a typical kind of edit that they like to do before the guillotine drops. But it's like, this is why Ciara didn't compete. Because competing or not didn't affect her ability to win this challenge at all. She had a 0% chance of winning before she dropped out, and after dropping out, it was about the same.
I'm going to take that one step further. She made the right decision by not competing because she needs to signal to Tyson, again, because I don't know that Tyson's going to trust her entirely despite what he's been telling her. So he needs to say to she needs to say to Tyson, basically, hey, just so you know, I feel totally safe because, as I told you, I'm 100% on board with you.
And I'll put it out here right now, unless I really thought that I was going home tonight, I would have sat out that challenge. Because there's no way I would have won that.
I don't know. This would not be the worst possible challenge for me. Believe me, there are some challenges that would be much worse. But I certainly don't think that Ciara stood any chance, and I don't fault her at all for sitting out.
Well, let's be truthful. Ciara could sit out every challenge and not affect her odds of winning. I mean, she's not going to win challenges. It's just the reality of it. And whether or not she's going to win this game has nothing to do with challenges.
Right. And I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. I mean, Cochran, despite, the 2 challenges he won, well, technically 3. One was not an immunity challenge, though. But his first season, he was immunity liability the whole time. Sandra has never won immunity and never would. But it doesn't mean that you're a bad player. It's one aspect of the game, and it's honestly probably the least valuable aspect of the game, despite how much Probst loves to play it up.
Well, this is how valuable it is. So Monica's won 3 now. Do we think Monica's winning this game?
That's a very good point, because, again, Tom Westman won a bunch of challenges, but he didn't win Survivor because he won a bunch of challenges. He won Survivor because he was very good at the game.
We weren't going to have a historical discussion, but now I've kind of a topic that we're going to do really quickly here. Besides Tom Westman, has there ever been a challenge monster who's won this game in the season that they were a challenge monster?
Are we going to count Kim Spradlin?
I don't think she's a monster. She was pretty good, but I think she maybe won. She won like 3 or.
Didn't she get 4 of them?
Like I think she only won 3 because Monica, if she wins again, will have the record for a woman.
Okay.
Maybe Boston Rob in Redemption Island.
I feel like he didn't necessarily. He did win a few individual immunities, but I don't feel like he.
Yeah, he won down the stretch, but again, I don't know if he won a lot at the beginning. In fact, he probably sat out some to eat.
Hey, you know what would have helped is if we did some research on this topic, which we didn't because this is totally improvised here.
Just totally impromptu, but I think the answer is no. I mean, JT? Did JT win a lot?
He won some, but again, early on he was competing against Tyson, and then there was...
Well, early on they won nothing. That's why they came down such numbers. So
I'm meaning more in the individual version.
Yeah.
He lost some individual immunities to Tyson. I think Coach even won one of them. Yeah, he wasn't necessarily a challenge beast. He won a few, but...
Yeah, I mean, he won the ones he needed to at the end so that, Steven and others couldn't flip on him. But yeah, I think Tom Westman's the only one that's kind of rode the wave of immunities to wins, which was kind of what was really exciting about him winning and Palau in general, is that by that point we had kind of built in our head that, eventually being really good at challenges was a liability, and that season totally flipped the script on that. But yeah, as you say, it's the least important because many, many, many players have won by not being very good at challenges. Only one has won by being very good at challenges.
Well, before we start getting a whole bunch of voicemails about this, yes, I realize Colby dominated his season. He would have won, but he didn't. So please save your voicemail on that one.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's been some runners-up that were pretty good at challenges. Rob Mariano in All-Stars would be, another example.
Ozzy
was a runner-up, exactly. But in terms of winning, It's not all that important.
Nope.
It's not bad. It's if you're a really strategic threat, it's probably important to be able to win that last one so that you're not the final person voted out. That's one of the reasons why Cirie could probably never win this game, is because she can't bring herself to the final. But yeah, miss me with that challenge talk. That's all I'm saying.
The thing is, you only really need to be good at challenges when you need to win a challenge. I mean, there's no utility in winning a challenge when you're not the least bit threatened. I mean, other than, personal accomplishment and wanting to impress Jeff Probst and get a hug and a shoulder massage.
Yes, because eventually it becomes why you're threatening.
Right, exactly. We saw back in Pearl Islands, Dara the sexy mortician, who weighed all of about 85 pounds. She might have outweighed Sierra by a good, dozen eggs maybe. She actually got called a threat I think there was 3 players remaining at that point, and that was the reason she was kicked out, because she was a quote-unquote threat.
Yeah, so we have that challenge. Good for Monica. Actually, since we're on the challenge, let's finish our thoughts on Monica winning. So, yeah, actually, I'm kind of impressed. Wouldn't have pegged her to win this much. She's probably doing wonders for the person that has her in our fantasy game. There's a lot of talk about people being upset that this was unfair to men because 25% of her body weight isn't the same as 25% of Hayden's body weight. What do you think of that?
It's still difficult either way, and that's the thing is, it's not necessarily an upper body strength issue. A whole lot of it, from what it seems at least, I didn't actually test it at home, although I would love to. It's just grip.
Yeah.
And not having your hands peel the skin off, which seemed to happen at least to Caleb and Hayden.
Yeah, I don't think Hayden dropped out because he couldn't bear the weight anymore. It was just like his hands were torn apart and he couldn't take the pain anymore.
Right.
So, and Monica had that too, unless, she had gotten a better grip and it wasn't happening to her.
Maybe Monica can no longer sweat, and hence her hands were not getting wet, so it wasn't slipping out of her hands quite as easily.
She's had her sweat glands surgically removed. But this has happened at least. This is the second time this season where there's been an outcry on the internet that, wah, this challenge is unfair to men. And is it kind of ridiculous?
Are you just finding these outcries on Reddit? Is that what's happening?
I actually never go to Reddit, but, there are places we frequent that people talk about that. And it was the same when Lauren Moret won her Redemption Allen challenge. Now look at that one. Yeah, it's always going to go to the women, but, it's Redemption Allen. Who cares?
It's going to go to the women and Aussie.
Yeah, that's the thing. Tyson would have won if he was in there. So, but yeah, suddenly we're all sad for the strong buff men that Survivor's unfair and they'll never win challenges. Really, that's what we're going with now? That Survivor's too tilted in the favor of smaller women?
I feel like you're hearing 2 people's opinions somewhere on the internet and suggesting that this might be an outcry somewhere. I don't think this is a largely popularly held opinion.
Well, we'll leave it to the emailers and the voicemailers. You know who really has a problem with it? Mike Skupin.
Oh, I bet he does.
Because he is one of those alpha male types that thinks that that's the way Survivor should be played. But anyway.
Also, what's Mike Skupin's record in winning this game, by the way?
He's, you know what? He's 0 for 2, but he's never been voted out.
Oh, really? I wish that he would mention that on Twitter at some point.
Do you think Monica's now a threat?
No. No more than she was before.
Yeah, I don't think she's a threat to win at all. But this is what I wrote elsewhere, and I think that it might be a point. You might want to get her out of the game now because she could take the immunity that you need to win. So if you're Tyson and you think you need to win at Final Four to prevent people from just taking you out, then maybe you get rid of Monica, who might be the only person left to beat you for that immunity.
I don't think you'd worry about it. I think that, especially with Tyson, Monica's not going to ditch him. I think she's, seriously, as Tyson pointed out this episode, I think that since he's basically the only one that seems to have been nice to her, she's kind of latched herself onto Tyson.
Yeah, but you don't think, say, Sierra and Jervis could say, hey, Monica, we now got to get rid of Tyson because he'll beat us all at the final.
I think then there would be a probably 5-minute sequence of Monica being paranoid because that's the edit that CBS is giving her this year. And it would end up with her sticking with her original decision.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, he's not a big flipper, but I could see it Final Four that just becoming an issue. That we saw it. Boston Rob needed to win at Final Four. That was probably like the only time that he was in danger. In Philippines, Malcolm needed to win at Final Four, and he didn't.
Despite an advantage, he didn't.
So there's a thought that maybe this is enough to push her to be eliminated one spot earlier than she normally would, in that I didn't think she was going to be eliminated at all.
You know what? Next time when they bring back Malcolm again, which of course they will, when they get to the final challenge, and assuming Malcolm is there, they should just have his advantage be that Probst will help him make sure that he wins the challenges by knocking other people's balls off of their balance beams.
Or Laura Moret will talk you through it. So then the next big thing, so we get back from Tribal, and now Caleb and Hayden know for sure that Sierra is not on their side. And they're on the minority looking up, and it's kind of a scary place to be.
Well, when we get back from Tribal, I'm pretty sure Caleb knows that he's in the minority because he's no longer back from Tribal. He's out on redemption.
So immunity and Tribal and words mean things? Yeah, so when they get back from immunity. So they, start thinking of their options. So you get a lot of close-up shots of Hayden where the wheels are literally turning in his head. And then they decide, and they're sitting there on the hammock, and I'm not sure actually which of the two brought it up first, but it's like, why don't we just talk to Tyson? What did you think of that move?
So again, as I mentioned much earlier, this seems to me like one of those episodes where everybody played the right strategy for themselves. And in this case, worked out really well for them. They basically tried to steer Tyson back towards Sierra as someone who is masterminding this whole thing and trying to demonstrate that she's a player that needs to be reckoned with and taken out. Good move.
Yeah, and it was pretty believable when they came to Tyson. They were just like, whoa, we thought you were coming against us, because that's what Sierra said. And I think Tyson bought it.
I think he did too. And I think, though, that it started to signal to Tyson that he was hearing too many stories, and that's why we eventually got to the Tyson immunity idol play, if you want to get to that at this point, or if you want to discuss other things first.
Just one other thing for Hayden and Caleb's play, because I agree. I think that was a good move, because the alternative that a lot of other people have been bringing up was to find a fourth. And obviously the only fourth available was Monica.
Yeah, Monica's not a good fourth for you, if you're Hayden.
Yeah, so everybody's like, why didn't they get Monica to flip? Why didn't they show him trying to get Monica to flip? I would actually feel better if Hayden didn't even ask her. Like, it's possible one of those things that they asked and they didn't even show it. But there's no point in asking Monica to flip. She's not going anywhere.
Well, not only that, but it actually works against you, because Monica would then go tell Tyson, and now you've got both Sierra and Monica telling Tyson, hey, Hayden and Caleb are trying to take you out. So now he knows it's true.
Yeah, they already had their loose lips moment with Sierra thinking somebody was in. Monica, would have been worse. And here's the thing. Why would Monica flip? What advantage would be for Monica to go from a Final Three path with Jervis and Tyson, which she absolutely thinks she has, and I also think she has, to go to Hayden, Caleb, and Katie? Yeah,
there's no gain for her there. Initially, when the thing came up, I thought, well, the only other person they can target is Monica, and it took me about 5 seconds to realize, no, that's a terrible idea.
Yeah, so, as I said, I thought from the 20-minute mark on that Sierra was going to go, just because that seemed to be the way that it was going. And then my baby woke up, and my wife was down there for another 20 minutes, so I had a lot of time to think. And basically the whole time I'm like, well, where's the fourth vote coming from? And obviously it's like, well, Monica. I'm like, why would Monica ever do that? So I couldn't figure that out. And then I'm like, one idea was maybe she votes herself out in the way that Tyson did. And that, 3 votes go one way, 3 votes goes the other way, and she decided to vote for Tyson when the other 3 guys voted for her. I don't know. And then my other thought is, what if they managed to get everybody to flip onto her? So that was the right play. It didn't work out, but I think it came about as close as it could to working out.
Right. Like I said, it was the right move for them. It just didn't work. I mean, sometimes you do the best move for yourself, and it just doesn't work. Yeah, so then Tyson seems to really legitimately consider it. He's talking to Jervis, and then obviously we don't get to find out what their decision was, because that's when all the drama would get sucked out. So we get to Tribal Council, lots of different talk, and you guys must have felt really secure about sitting out, blah, blah, blah. Oh, and as a side, I really liked the way Tyson handled that. Yeah, it was his second best moment of the Tribal Council. He basically said, look, I'm good, but thanks. Hey, he just brushed the Probst question off. I like how Tyson doesn't let Probst dictate the terms of the tribal council to him.
Yeah, and that's an advantage returnees have. But I also, he did a little bit more than that, and then he was like, I didn't understand why more people didn't sit out. Like, it's a way of showing that he was even more trustworthy.
Oh, see, I totally forgot that part. That's right, he did, yeah.
It's like, I thought I had an alliance with more people. Why were they competing to win? So, yeah, the way that Probst and other people try to frame it is that it makes Tyson look untrustworthy by sitting out, and he flipped the script on that. And it's like, well, no, I'm completely trustworthy. I thought my alliance was good.
I can't believe I didn't remember a Tyson moment.
So then, yes, let's talk about his best moment of tribal council.
So we get back there. Probst is going to tally the votes, as he does, and asks for the immunity idol. Tyson goes to grab it, but man, where did that thing go? I know it's in here somewhere. And
he gets Katie to hold something.
Dumps out all of his belongings as the tribe looks on and laughs. And I'm sure that some of them are thinking, wait, is he just messing around? Is this a joke? It's going to get edited out and never see the light of day. And then he actually pulls out an immunity idol.
All right, so as it ended up, he didn't need to play that idol. So was this a mistake?
No. And I'm sure there's going to be plenty of people arguing that it was. A, the people who are arguing that it was, you have the advantage of seeing how the episode was edited. You aren't out on the island to see what's going on. B, once you start getting people suggesting that they might be targeting you, and then there's those same people that are supposedly targeting you come to you with a different plan, you should get nervous. And at this point, we mentioned it last week, there's 2 times where that immunity idol should come into play, and it's at 5 and 7. This is 7. He played it here, and it's the right move, whether it worked out for him or not. I mean, he didn't need it, but that doesn't mean it wasn't the right move to play it.
Yeah, I generally won't criticize somebody for playing an idol when they didn't need to, because it far beats the alternative. And yeah, he felt threatened, so he played it. It's pretty simple. I mean, this is a guy who's gotten blindsided twice. Just the one thought is that if he was going to play it, it would have been it would make more sense in favor of voting out Sierra. In the sense that he thought his big worry was that Hayden and Caleb were working with Sierra to play him. Whereas if he's going and voting out Caleb, he's probably operating under the idea that Sierra wasn't playing him. I mean, it's a lot of variables, and even now I'm struggling communicating what I'm talking about, so yeah, just go ahead and play it. But it's like, if Hayden and Caleb are telling the truth, well, actually, if everybody's telling the truth, you're good. But basically, I don't see why Sierra would ever come to him the way she did if she was also planning on flipping.
Right. So, but then once you start getting into too many ifs,
yeah,
just play the idol. Just be safe. You know you're safe if you play the idol.
And here's the thing. Maybe he still thought there was a good chance that everybody was playing him, that Sierra was playing him, Hayden and Caleb. And he just made the decision that's like, well, if I had my pick, I'd rather one of those guys go home that could contend for challenges or beat me in the final than I would this 90-pound girl that people seem to be not very happy with right now.
Yeah. And I also think, because I was running through the numbers in my head too, I think he's probably taking into account that he wants to get rid of one of those family members this week anyway. So it's either going to be Sierra or Caleb. And once Sierra basically volunteers herself, like, hey, I'll help you vote out one of them, why not? Just take her. Yeah, use her. Or have her help you get rid of yet another returnee next week, in theory. We'll get to that in a moment. And then ditch her after that. That's the way to go. Do you disagree?
He said it himself. I mean, he said a couple things. One thing, he said that he was actually going to do Final Four with those guys. And he said that to Jervis, not to them. So maybe that was legit. But before that, he was like, well, I was probably going to have to take one of them out anyway. Which I guess is true. At Final Four, he would have. So, no, I mean, as I've already said several times, you'll have plenty of opportunities to get rid of Sierra. She is not going to win a single challenge. Whereas, like, Hayden could win next week. You know, Caleb could win. Like, one of them could be the fly in the ointment that just goes on an immunity tear and then breaks up your alliance. So, yeah, even if he thinks that suddenly all the votes were coming to him tonight and they were playing him, yeah, use your idol to get rid of one of the guys.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that playing it won't come with consequences.
Yeah, and we might get into some spoilers here if we're going to be talking about are you hoping to get into the preview for next week?
No, let's talk about it in hypothetical terms. Do you think he's in greater danger now that people who didn't know that he had an idol knows that he now doesn't have an idol?
I think that he probably at some point had told Jervis before he played it at this particular tribal council. I don't think he had told anybody else, and I don't think Jervis had told anybody else. So I think to everybody else it was probably a surprise. So yes, it will make them think, hey, why weren't you 100% honest with me? But at the same time, he can say, listen, I have to watch my own back. I didn't use it to take you out. We're still good, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, and if I think anybody could get away with it, it's him. I mean, nobody even seemed to bear a lot of ill will with him gluttonously eating food in the most ridiculous fashions in front of them. Although I think Hayden kind of didn't like it, and when they got back at the beach, he was like trying to egg him on a bit more in the same way that Tyson was with ours. It's like, oh yeah, what about the chicken? Oh yeah, what about that?
Yeah, describe to me the chicken as though it will somehow make me less hungry.
So I think there could be some cost on this. Yeah, a little lack of trust by people in his alliance. Possibly Jervis if he hadn't told him. And then, now it's Final Six, and it's like, well, we know he doesn't have an idol now. Probably. So it could blow back, but at the same time, if you feel threatened and you have an idol, you play an idol, because going home with an idol in your pocket is about the dumbest thing you can do in Survivor.
Right. So you're basically avoiding the worst possible situation. Always better to use it and use it at the wrong time than don't use it at the wrong time.
All right, so I think we've talked about all the different possibilities of what could have happened tonight, and we seem to both be in agreement. And it's like, no, they all made moves that made sense for themselves, and it worked out. The one other thing, and she couldn't have known this, but Sierra's decision to go with Tyson worked out really well for her because of the idol.
Yeah, and I'm seriously doubting that she had any idea that he had the idol.
Oh, no, unless she just had, if anybody has it, it might be Tyson. But there's, he never told her. She's never saw it or anything like that.
Right.
That's a way of lucking into the right outcome. But yes, if she had gone with the other four, one of them would be gone home tonight, and she would now not have a path to the end.
I do wonder, though, if we're going to have another idol brought back into the game now, since this one's been played.
There will be. Easily. They want idols. They're excited that they finally have one. Plus, they got to give out more clues to idols on Redemption Island. So, actually, there's a question. Now that, kind of the idol cherry has been broken, do people start taking that clue and using it?
Depends who it is. And I think, I know who does not win the Redemption Island Challenge next week, thanks to something that we'll get to in a minute. But I think if you're Katie, you still take it no matter what, because no matter how you look at this game, you're the low woman on the totem pole. Other people, maybe you don't take it. It depends what kind of signal you're trying to send. Yeah,
so here's the thing. You're Sierra, and you just dodged another bullet at Tribal Council. Your mom wins and gives you the choice. Do you take it this time? Or do you want to still say, hey, I'm a team player. Don't worry about me. I'm not a threat.
I don't think she takes it, but I think she should, assuming that it goes to her.
Right. So now that we're talking about Redemption Island, so Laura M. wins again. She's a demon. Vitas goes home. That's sad. We really enjoyed him as a character, but once you get voted out, who cares? But people seem to be very upset that Laura M. helped Tina win. Are you?
No. I mean, to an extent, I do feel like the only beef that I have with this is that it seems like Probst kind of makes up the rules on the fly about this sort of stuff. He has told players in the past, hey, you can't help out. But that's been more about direct, physical intervention with helping out. This was more of a, hey, do this, do that, which isn't all that different than what people in the stands are yelling down to them. So, no, not really. Like I said, my only beef with it is just that Probst doesn't always handle these situations the same way.
Yeah, so to your point about Probst making up the rules as he goes along, he openly admits to that. He was asked about that in his EW interview about this episode. His kind of philosophy is, as much as possible, they like to let the players dictate the rules. And that's probably a lesson that they learned early on, back when he was almost blowing up Richard Hatch's spot by showing alliances or forcing things. That it works better for the game if the players can dictate a few things and then possibly pay consequences or not, or benefits from those things. So, yeah, it's kind of a feel thing. And as you said, I think the big thing that everybody's pointing to is in South Pacific, where Sophie wanted Albert to drop his stack and help her, and Probst wouldn't allow it. But it wasn't that he wouldn't allow Albert to tell her what piece to do next. It was that Albert wasn't allowed to build her stack with her.
Right. The other difference is that Ozzy wasn't in this challenge, so Probst didn't have anybody to root for.
Yeah, he might have gone a different way. And I think he made the right decision here. I mean, if Laura M wins, and there's really no benefit to winning versus second place in these things, then why not get to try and pick who you're going to go up to next? Like, that should be an extra benefit to winning.
Sure, why not?
And here's the other thing. I don't care, because it's Redemption Island.
Yeah, agreed. But that was the right move for Laura M, too, because you want to keep Tina around over Vetus.
Yeah, I mean, she wants to keep winning. And also, maybe building, trust with Tina so that she can get Tina to vote for her daughter. Although she probably lost Vetus's vote in that same respect.
You win some, you lose some.
I think it was fine. And here's the thing, like, Vetus finished 1 second behind Tina because he was also listening to those instructions.
Right.
So it wasn't that great an advantage. But we can add this to the pile of things of the way Redemption Island keeps screwing up the fundamentals of this game. Because you don't see this in other immunity challenges, because you don't get situations in immunity challenges where somebody wins and the competition is still going.
Right. It's one of the litany of flaws of Redemption Island that we have just endlessly paraded through the town as part of this season.
All right. Anything else about this episode that you'd like to talk about?
Now let's get to the spoiler-filled previews and the continuing F-ups of the new editor that they apparently hired this off-season.
Yeah, so at the end of the episode, they had your standard preview. It looked like Hayden was drumming up business to take out Tyson. Good stuff. Good for you, Hayden, and, will it be successful? Will it not be? Who knows?
And we should say, before we get on to what we're going to discuss, there's going to be some spoilers in here. It's CBS's fault, just so you know. We didn't go searching these out.
Yeah, so that's the preview. We all saw it. What's more important, what we might end up spending another hour talking about, no, not really, but maybe, was the ad that they put on their website that I suspect will be running through CBS programming between now and Survivor. And I'll find that out, I guess, when I watch football this weekend. They put out an ad for next week's episode that basically gives away about 3/4 of the episode. But other than the spoiler parts, I could not be more excited for next week. So, if you want to stay completely unspoiled, don't watch CBS for the rest of the week, and turn off the podcast now. We'll be back next week with another show, and follow us on all the places you can follow us.
Yeah, and send us a voicemail thanking us for not spoiling you.
Alright, so you're all gone now. Can you believe it's happening? Can you believe it is really happening, Judge?
I am very disappointed that what's happening is rocks, but the color is white, Andy.
I know, we were so close!
We're going to have to rename our podcast, Andy.
That's right. Next week will be Welcome to the White Rock Podcast. And then people will be wanting us to be talking about Dave Matthews Band and Coldplay.
Or Matchbox 20.
But yeah, it's oh my god, rocks, and they're doing it for the second time ever. We just randomly chose this name as some kind of part of, Survivor minutia that would sound fun. And this season we get rocks.
Yeah, we went for a deep pull reference to just let everybody know that we were real Survivor nerds. And it's actually come back into play for the only other time that it's happened. I mean...
And it almost happened earlier. Like, Vita switched his vote to avoid rocks, and we thought right there, it's like, woohoo, that's the best SEO we could hope for. And now rocks! Real rocks! We saw them drawing for rocks!
Real rocks. Unfortunately white, but again... real rocks.
That's right. Hopefully people, at least for the rest of the week, will be talking about purple rocks just to understand how the tiebreaker works. Which I guess, for those of you listening right now, let's tell you how the tiebreaker works. So when you have a tie, as we saw earlier, the first tiebreaker is just to vote again. And the two people who receive votes cannot vote, and then the remaining people can only vote for the two people that are tied. And since Season 4 Marquesas, when they had the purple rock, every tie has been broken that way. Because nobody wants to go to rocks.
Yeah, nobody wants to leave this thing up to chance, especially when you get this close to the end.
Yeah, which is why drawing rocks is actually the perfect tiebreaker. Other people have complained about it, like maybe it's not fair, but it's the fact that it's not fair that's what makes it so strong. Prior to that, the tiebreaker was however many votes you had received in other tribal councils, which was a terrible tiebreaker.
Right, and then it led to people intentionally throwing votes at individuals just in case there was tiebreakers later on.
Yeah, and it meant that people that were probably no longer in the game affected the future outcome because their random vote that they, tossed when they were unanimously voted out suddenly had a gigantic, is that a word?
Gigantic.
It is now. Impact later. But worse than that, just from a structural standpoint of a TV show, I am a Survivor, nerd. I really care about this. I couldn't tell you the random votes that somebody has gotten prior to this all the time. So it's like it required you to have knowledge that Jeff Varner once got one vote 6 episodes ago. And it's not like they could tell you that in the narrative because if they showed it, say, in the preview, it's like, oh, okay, we're having a tie and Jeff's going home.
Right.
So then the other tiebreaker is fire making, which it still exists. It just basically only exists in Final Four scenario.
Final Four.
Or if you ever get a scenario where a tribe gets whittled down to 2 people. Both of which have happened.
Right. Basically, the fire making thing is where it makes no sense to draw rocks. And, well, it didn't make sense to draw rocks when they actually used the drawing rocks thing for the first time. But, yeah, they didn't do the fire making challenge thing back then. I don't know why.
Yeah, and people say, well, why don't they just go to fire making now? And it's like, because it gives people an out. It means that you don't have to make a decision. You can just let up to chance amongst 2 people who you don't really care who goes. And Survivor is at its best and always should be when it forces its contestants to make a choice.
Yeah, nobody wants to see that. I mean, no one wants to see, this player's going home just because luck of the draw. We want to see that, someone went down to the wire, was going to vote with you, and then had to flip because they were afraid to take the rock.
Yeah, and that's why it's a great challenge, because nobody will do it. But apparently they're doing it next week. So how it works is, everybody's tied. And now once you go to rocks, the person who has the immunity necklace, if it's, an individual situation, they're immune. Their immunity carries forward. And then the 2 people who were tied, they are now immune. And the people who couldn't come to a real decision and force a tie, each one of them has to reach into a bag, draw a rock, and sadly now the one who will have the white rock, as opposed to the purple rock, is the person that goes home. So somebody who went into tribal council, not in danger, not receiving any votes, will go home because everybody decided that they would rather force a tie than make a decision.
So to get more specific, next week we're going to have 3 people that are going to be drawing rocks because there's going to be 1 with immunity, 2 that are going to end up tied in votes, assuming that it's a 3-3 tie, which is what I'm assuming. I don't think it's going 2-2-2.
I wonder if in that scenario they couldn't do rocks.
At 2-2-2?
Yeah, because that'd be 3 people immune plus the person with the necklace. I guess, yeah, the other 2 people could draw. It'd be 50-50. You're right. Okay.
Well, but at that point, who cares?
Anyway.
It's not going to happen that way.
No.
It's going to be 3-3. So there's going to be 3 people left that are going to be drawing rocks. So you're going to have a 33% shot of going home. And they're going to go through with it.
Yeah. It's like, all that thing I just said about the greatness of the purple rock is that it never gets to it. Still, I'm really excited to see it. And maybe it's just because I named my podcast this, but whatever. The other big thing they spoiled at the preview is they showed us who makes the jury.
Yeah, they show you in the preview, they just flash by the 3 people sitting in the jury, and it's Aris and Vetus, which of course we already know. And then Caleb's sitting there, and it's like, oh, hey, buddy, I guess you don't win Redemption Island next week.
Yeah, I mean, they've already cut the episode, but I wish that means that they're like, oh, we already gave that away. Let's just show the end of Redemption Island.
Right.
Now, we've already given up giving predictions for who's going to get removed on Redemption Island because it's an absolute crapshoot. You don't know until, sometimes at least if you can see the challenge, you'll be like, oh, yeah, I bet so-and-so could do well at that. But it's just flipping a coin. So we're not going to do those predictions anymore. Except this week, I predict Caleb's going home.
I got to concur with that one. I feel like you've got a good hunch on this one.
So then this dictates the rest of our predictions. So we now know that a tie happens. So I guess more the prediction of who randomly chooses a rock, I guess the prediction would be, how do we get to this? Okay,
so here's something I wondered. You analyzed this much more closely than I did. Did you happen to catch who has immunity?
So not definitively, but I think I've seen the empty necks of 5 people, and then 1 person's obscured. So By process of elimination, I mean, there's a necklace around Hayden's neck, but it's kind of a thin one. I think he's been wearing all season. There's a necklace around Monica's neck, but it's not kind of the big immunity one. So I think Jervis wins, because I can't see him. He's sitting at the far end. Now, when they do the close-up of each jury member, nobody's wearing it, but they could have just pulled those up from any tribal council.
Right.
But when the shot in which you see the jury of 3 people, including Caleb, and the 6 people at tribal council, Jervis is the one I can't see, so I think he wins immunity.
Okay. So then what I'm going to be hoping is that Tyson is the one that's receiving votes, because that would then make Tyson safe.
Yeah, so here's another thing we see. We see Tyson's arm holding out a rock, and we see Katie's arm holding out a rock.
Oh no, really?
Yeah, and, unless it's some kind of shot where they we cut the world's most spoilery preview ever. Everybody hold the rock out. Or if there was some other scenario in Tribal Council where Tyson... But no, I mean, we see kind of a group of 6. But yeah, it's his long white arm with a tank top at the other end of it, So,
see, to me then, that doesn't make sense, because...
No!
That would mean that the 3 family members target Monica.
Or Sierra.
Okay, and so then, what's the 3-3 vote that you're seeing then?
Yeah, so this is the thing. So that's why I've broken this film down to, Zapruder-like levels. And that's basically what I've got. That we know that Tyson and Katie are drawing rocks, and I think Jervis is immune. So yeah, if I didn't have that information about Tyson and Katie, which again, it's possible I'm wrong about, but I'm pretty sure I'm not. Most likely scenario would have been 3 on Hayden and 3 on Tyson.
Well then...
I guess that's not what happened, so...
No, if Tyson's drawing rocks, then that's not what's happening.
So maybe Jervis does flip on him. Maybe, so what we saw in the preview was Hayden agitating that if you go to the final 2 with Tyson, you're going to lose. He's clearly, the player that everybody respects. So maybe Jervis, after winning immunity, thinks, yes, this is now the time to make a move. But then, for some reason, doesn't vote Tyson? Or maybe Sierra now is threatening Monica's spot, and she flips over. Or Jervis's spot. Maybe Jervis now starts to think that Tyson wants to go to the final 3 against Monica and Sierra. So maybe Jervis, Hayden, and Katie vote Sierra, and then Tyson, Monica, Sierra vote... I'm going to say Hayden. I'm pretty confident that Hayden is part of this tie.
He's one of the targets. Sure, I'm fine with that. I just don't see a scenario where Tyson is not the other target, though.
Yeah, no, it was tough, but basically I'm pretty confident I saw his arm holding a rock, so...
Well, here's what I'm going to throw out at you.
Yep.
You, of course, because you are a Survivor nerd like I am, you remember the big red X on Jervis, Season 1.
Yeah.
Survivor, and that's not the only instance of this, but Survivor has been known to throw a few red herrings in, even as video clips. So I'm wondering if seeing Tyson holding a rock wasn't maybe some video trickery on CBS's part.
I would think that if they weren't such screw-ups in showing that Caleb was on the jury. It's like if they were so good at, throwing us off and giving spoilers that weren't really spoilers, then why would they have given up that? So yeah, if Tyson is not one of the ties, the way I think is maybe Sierra gets the clue from her mom and uses it, and then everybody's afraid of Sierra getting the immunity, so that's why she's part of the tie.
Okay. If that is the scenario, I could maybe see that.
Or, that the loved ones now are just so angry at Sierra because they perceive that she flipped on them. And yeah, they pulled Jervis or Monica to their side in that, sure, I'll get rid of Sierra. She's just going to get in our way anyway. But what I don't get is, why was Tyson ever putting his neck on the line for anybody?
Yeah, I don't see Tyson as the type that would be like, sure, I'll just leave it up to chance and I'll take a rock. And the only thing I can think of is if Tyson realizes he's absolutely doomed by switching his vote, then it might be better odds to draw a rock.
Yeah, he needs to win this vote. He needs his 3 because, say, Jervis flipped to the other side. So now he needs Sierra and Monica. Because if he loses, then next week he's down 3-2.
Right, and going into Final 5, that's the most important time to have a majority.
Yeah, and here's the other thing. Redemption Allen's still sitting out there for him, so maybe he's willing to take that risk with the idea that I could probably get back in the game.
Right, especially with one challenge left to go.
And then, he sometimes just does ballsy things, right? Maybe he just thinks this will be more fun this way. Yeah, it's weird. But one last thing that I actually thought of, because I've been running all these possibilities in my head, maybe somebody does switch their vote, but somebody on the other side switches their vote too.
That would be amazing.
Wouldn't that be the greatest? So Tyson's like, screw it. Sorry, Sierra, I'm voting for you. And then Jervis is like, I'm not going to leave this for a chance. Sorry, Hayden, I'm switching back.
Yeah, that would be the best possible scenario.
So, yeah, this is what I think is going to happen. This is my official prediction based on, all of the overanalyzing I've done of it's basically 10 seconds of footage, I think. I think it is Hayden and Sierra that were tied. They are immune. I think Jervis is immune. So I think drawing for rocks is Katie, Tyson, and Monica.
Oof. Not good odds for Tyson's group.
I mean, not good odds for anybody. It would kind of be fun for me to pick Tyson again like I used to, but maybe this explains why Monica is getting next to no edit even when she keeps winning immunity. So I'll pick Monica.
I like how you're selecting the random chance loser.
Yeah, some people when they pick their winners for the season just randomly choose, so.
I don't know who would do such a thing. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, unless it's Tyson, if those are the three, unless it's Tyson that loses, does it really matter?
No, not really. So that's the other thing. So it ends with Probst saying something very portentous about anything's changed or blah, blah, blah. The same thing he always says. Does he say that if, Katie or Monica go home?
Yeah, because that's the type of thing that Probst says. Like you just pointed out. I mean, he says that when Brad Culpepper goes home. Whoa, the game has changed now. Not really. It's the same game.
So then your other option is just to not take my word for it and pick somebody else.
Again, I still have a hard time wrapping my head around the idea that there's a tie and it's...
Somebody flips and it's not to take out Tyson? Yeah, it makes no sense to me either, but...
Yeah, it really doesn't make sense because if you're right and if it's Jervis that flips, first of all, why at 6? And second of all, why are you not taking out Tyson there?
Well, I think at 6 is because Tyson played an idol last night, and so you don't want to give him more opportunities to find the idol again. But again, they didn't. Maybe that's it. Maybe they're worried that their plan was to flip to take out Tyson, and he's able to bluff them into thinking he found the idol again.
Oh, so they put it on Sierra instead.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
Or Monica. Yeah.
I still don't see Tyson being like, sure, I'll draw rocks because of that, but I guess we'll have to see next week. I'm looking forward to this now.
Tyson makes the decision to draw rocks one way or another.
Says you. I'm still going with my conspiracy theory
that he wasn't voting? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the CBS intern that they've apparently put in charge of editing this show maybe did some Photoshop magic and threw it in there.
All right, so who's going home? Just want to say Sierra for the 10th time this season? I mean, one of these times you might be right.
Yeah, I've only got a couple episodes left for it to be right, don't I? So
yeah, I'm feeling like you're never going to be right on that one.
Let's go with Katie's going home. All
right. So, us knowing that it's completely random chance, and we picked Monica and Katie because reasons.
Yeah. I feel like if Probst had any input into this... Actually, no. Probst seems really into Monica, partly because he loves her husband so much, but I think he also likes the fact that Monica is, if there was such a thing as a dude crush on Monica, or on a female, that's who he'd have it on, is Monica.
And look, he makes those portentous statements, but it is following a tribal council that went to rocks for the first time since season 4, so yeah, that kind of deserves it. That's a big moment, and it's obviously a turning point that 3 people were going one way and 3 people were going the other, so fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to cause us to start inserting all sorts of metadata and hashtags into our podcast that say white rock.
Purple white rock. White and purple rock. So, I honestly could not be more excited for this. We were just coming off a really great episode, and mostly all I've been thinking about and wanted to talk about is this 20-second commercial.
Yeah, and I would actually say that this was, if it wasn't an A+, that was an A episode. That was really, really good.
Yeah, on the heels of what's been a great season. And looks like no matter what happens, we're going to have a very exciting tribal council next week. So I look forward to it.
And if you guys want to leave us a voicemail for that podcast, if there's anything that you have, any conspiracy theories that you want to unleash before that episode airs, you can hit us on Skype at JR Purple Rock. Just leave me a voicemail. We'll try to make sure it gets in the next episode. Just try to be coherent and keep your voicemail under 45 seconds, say, and you should be good.
Yeah, and if you don't really like leaving messages or can't understand how Skype works, you can always email us at purplerockpodcast@gmail.com.
Or if you like to restrict your communication to 140 characters or less, you can always send us a tweet at purplerockpod.
That's really it. We're on a couple other forums, but nobody ever comments on those. So tweet us, email us, voicemail us. We'd like to hear what you have to say.
And thank you to those of you that were leaving us the reviews on iTunes. I appreciate that. We actually got 5-star reviews. That's nice.
Yeah, and if any of you would like to follow in those footsteps and feel that we have earned it, do so. I'd love to hear it, and to direct people to the hottest new podcast on Survivor, The White Rock.
That's what we're going to be. We're going to rename ourselves next season. We're going to be the White Rock.
So until next week, we are eagerly anticipating the drawing of rocks.
We'll see you then.